So what do we want to talk about today? I was going to show you the maybe that's what we'll do. I'll just start. But if you have numbers that you've been seeing or something that you want to talk about, just let me know. Because I could shift gears pretty well. So we could shift gears. So while you're thinking or coming up with your numbers, I was thinking about, first of all, I need to be able to see. There we go. I was thinking about needing to give you more information about how vibrations really come together before adding more to what we already know. So, we have. So in that divine triangle, boop. Wow. Okay, that's not too bad. It's a little fat, but at least it's in the right places. In this divine triangle, this is where this is supposed to represent us and all the layers of who we are. It's like the core of our identity. And it's not fake like other cores we know. Or like that magma that was pouring out. Okay, sorry, I'm not going to go on a tangent. But it was cool. And so here at the center, we have a couple of different things happening. And what it is we have these layers of vibration that make up who we are. Sorry. Sorry. So, if this blue is our life path number, which is just, based off of our birthday, that's one layer of this vibration that makes us make up us, who we are. And then we have our name. And this one is interesting because it could change. Because, you have your name that you're given at birth, but we all tend to have nicknames or go by a different name, or you change your name when you're older. And all of those actually do change the vibration of the name that you're using and how that resonates out into the world. So, there's some parts of these layers that you can change, and others that you need to just learn. So your life path number, you just need to learn that about yourself so that you can be able to use that vibration, use that energy, and not have it be take over you or control you. So we have our life path number and our name, which we already talked about. So for hip hop, we know its life path number for August 11th, 1973 is that 39 12 3. And then for the name, so for the name hip hop, it resonates at a 72, which then goes to 9. And so then we have other things in here too. So we have we'll have a layer of vibration that's really all about our ancestors or even generations past. So past generations. This also would be where our DNA goes. Because that's where we carry these ancestral vibrations, is in our DNA. We also would have like our astrology, like our birth chart. And so thinking about these, like for hip hop, like hip hop's ancestors really would be like the blues, and mostly the blues, some jazz. But I'm thinking mostly the blues. What do you all think? What other ancestors would hip hop have? Probably like a lot of like the spirituals, more in the topic areas and like how they conduct through. Oh yeah, then you could go all the way back to um, a lot of like African drums. Yeah. Like the Afro beats kind of thing. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point too. So yeah, so we have like these ancestors that make up the DNA of hip hop. The astrology, we'll talk about the astrology here in a minute. Um, and then we usually have like a space in here. And there's probably other things, but the point was that all of these vibrations are layered together. So kind of like when we talked about manifesting, I don't know when that was, yesterday? We've talked about it several times, but where when you're manifesting, you're drawing in all of this energy. You're trying to get all of this energy to come in, and as those vibrations weave together, they're getting tighter and tighter and tighter together until you actually create matter. You create flesh, but it's all vibration. It's all energy. So a good way of thinking about it is like water is always water, whether it's a liquid, a solid, or a gas. But when you tighten up those bonds and like bring them close together, that's when you get it solid. That's when you can actually touch and feel it. Oh yeah. Yeah, yesterday was our big manifestations talk. Hopefully those intentions are going well for the new moon. We're still in that new moon energy. That you're right, Tarot Gothis. That is probably one of the things that's bothering me. Making me all a little extra wacky. But we have this extra space this makes up our perspective in time. And so this perspective in time, it can change part of our identity and who we are at any time, at any point in our life, but it can add to our identity also. So the perspective in time is like, okay, we all have our past, we have experiences of our past that add to and make us part of who we are. But if we had trauma in our past, which unfortunately most of us do, and it's actually those that are the most vibrationally like strong and powerful that seem to have a lot of the trauma. I don't know why, and I hope that for the next generations that's not the case. But if you have those past traumas that have added to who you are, because that's your perspective in time, when you're not healed from them, then you behave differently. You show yourself to be different. Your identity, or that part of your identity, is different. That's where we hear all the time where people say, oh, that's just not like them. That's not like him. That's not like her. Because it's something that's coming from some of these past pieces. But then that's also why when you heal those things, you can seem like a different person. Because it's still part of your past. It's still adding to that perspective, but you're in a different place in time. And the place and time you are now, it's healed. I hope that makes sense. I'm getting an image that I think I need to draw out for us. It's messing up my eyes, so I think I will draw it so that I can see again. So, the way to think about it is that we have, so if this is us, so this is me, that's us as an individual. We have horizontal time, and when we talk about time, that's what we're talking about, is we're talking about time that moves in this direction. And I don't know why this is coming out. This is like some really heavy, deep stuff. Maybe there's something that's coming up with hip hop that we need to be aware of, that it's like a reoccurrence of the past. So any of you hip hop reactors that are out there thinking about this and seeing this, we might need to make some trips down memory lane, which we already did, Cousin B. But there's something about time that we need to be aware of for hip hop. So if this is me and this is present, this is, oh, I don't want to draw that there. I'll show, you'll see why in a minute. So wherever I am, this is the present time. This is also that perspective in time. And regardless of where I am, all of these other layers are still coming with me. So maybe we'll put those layers in there, so, or at least some of them, so that we can remember that those are still there. So we still have our life path number. We still have our name is still in there. We still have, oh my gosh, I already forgot because I couldn't see good. Oh yeah, our ancestors and our astrology. So those travel with us through time. And then all of this is that gray part where it's the perspective in time. And it's made up of all of our experiences. And so we have horizontal time, where this is the past. So it's all of our past experiences. And then we have all of our experiences in the future. And we're moving along this horizontally. And when we remember something, or we go back and remember something, or have nostalgia, we're going back to the past. But we're still in this present moment of time. Now, there are beliefs where you do have past lives, and that would be found like back here. So if you believe in reincarnation, and that you have past lives, and we have that whole beautiful song by Kendrick Lamar on reincarnation, where he's talking about past lives and past life regression. And in past life regression, what you're doing is you are tapping into these lives that happened before your past began. So it's when your soul was in a different lifetime. We could talk about that sometime too. That's a really good conversation. So we have horizontal time, where we're moving through this horizontal time. In the past also is where we would find some of our living ancestors. So if we have like grandparents or great grandparents that we have lived with, we'll find them along this past portion also. And then if we have generations to come, they will be in this future space. So we have that. The tricky part gets to when we start thinking about vertical time. Ooh. So before talking about vertical time, we have to make sure that we remember that it's all of these vibrations weaving together. So very similar to how hip hop music is even made, where it's all of these different pieces layered together. It's not just the beat, it's not just the drums, it's not just the bass. It's all of these different parts that are layered together, and it's how those vibrations synergize together to make any piece of music, any piece of hip-hop art what it is. Same thing for who we actually are. So wherever we are going, we are always carrying with us our past, and we're carrying with us our future on that horizontal side, regardless of what perspective in time we're at. But we also have this horizontal time. And I learned a lot about horizontal time. Oh, that's interesting. I just realized that I learned a lot from a lot of the Hawaiian spirituality. So if you haven't heard about it before, it's like Ho'oponopono is like this series of affirmations that you could say that help you heal and bring forgiveness into your life. But when you really dig into Hawaiian spirituality, they talk a lot about this vertical time. And I say that's ironic because I stayed up all night watching the Hawaiian volcano erupt. Sorry, Tarot Gothis. I'm not going to say anything else about it. I'll leave it alone. But I think the universe is hilarious. God is hilarious. Like, showing you these synchronicities and these messages. And it is very much like what we see in hip hop too. When you see it, and you're like, oh, that connects here. You think you're funny. You think you got jokes. Yeah. So, same thing. All right, so back to this vertical time. So in vertical time, the highest point in vertical time is your higher self. So this is your most healed self. This is like pure spirit. This is where you're carrying no scars, no wounds. It's your highest form of yourself. Is the way to kind of think about it. The highest form of yourself. And then down here is our shadow self. Now, one thing we have to be careful of. Hi, Susie. No, I'm so glad you made it. Thank you for being here. I kind of went on this tangent. So let me know if you have questions so I can get you caught up. So we were talking about, I'll do a quick recap. Because it'll probably be good for anybody else that came a little bit later. Thank you all for being here, by the way. And please make sure to hit the like so that other people get the notification. So what we started talking about was how any individual, in this case hip hop, has all these different layers of vibration. It's that make up who they are. And so it's your life path number, it's your name, it's your ancestors or your DNA, it's your astrology, and then it's this perspective in time. And that's where we were talking about here. That there's two kinds of time. Where we have this. Oh, we don't want to use that color. We don't want to use that color. Because then they'll get all confused. And then I won't know what I'm talking about. And then I'll sound real crazy. Because I already sound crazy. But this is horizontal time. This is the time we live in. This is the time we're used to. This is the time we look at when we look at the clock. It's moving through and we move through horizontal time. We actually, the only reason we have horizontal time is so that we can learn from our experiences. So it slows down our experiences, which sometimes really sucks. Have you ever noticed that, like, when it's a bad experience, like you're having like a bad experience, even if it's just a day, it seems to go so slow. But then if it's like a happy experience or a good experience, or it's like the best time of your life, it goes fast. That's because of horizontal time. That's because of horizontal time. And we have horizontal time so that we can learn from our experiences. Because as we learn, that's moving the energy, that's moving the vibration through us so that we're not holding on to it so tight. But like in our past, if we're holding on to like traumas or things that have happened in the past, that's what makes us heavy. Because we're supposed to learn from it and be able to move through it. But it can muck up this horizontal time. Because you can imagine if we're here in this present moment, but we're carrying the past on our back. That's the baggage that we always talk about. Oh, like Eric Badu called, bag lady. I'm not going to sing, even though it's playing in my head. Oh, I want to sing it so bad, but I'm not going to. I won't embarrass myself like that yet. We'll give us a little bit of time. We'll get a little bit closer, and then I'll do that. But that's what that means to have the baggage. Or even like recently where Tyler, the Creator, had the rules that you had to follow. And one of the rules was leave your baggage at the door. That's what that is. It's the past. It's what is changing your perspective in time because of your own past experiences. That was cool. Okay, so that was the reason for the recap. So then we also have this vertical time. And I was talking about how, I don't know if I spelled that right. I don't know. Let me know if I spelled vertical wrong. Because I don't know. I do numbers. I don't do this word stuff. Words are hard. Oh gosh, yeah, Susie. It's I don't think we're meant to forget. We're meant to learn. Because forgetting would mean that we wouldn't have our stories. And that's actually where our power is. It's in our stories. And so I don't think it is meant for us to forget things, but we're meant to forgive things and learn from it. Because even like forgive, I don't necessarily like that word, because I think it's just learn from it. And without the expectation that somebody else is learning from it. Like, hopefully that makes sense. But it's like we just need to learn from it. Like it's important for us to learn from it. Oh, good. Oh, good. I tried to write it sloppy enough so that if it was misspelled, you wouldn't be able to tell very well. So, vertical time. But vertical time, we have our higher self and we have our shadow self. And one thing we have to be very careful about, and I think this is where I started the recap, we have to be very careful to not think of this in terms of like good or bad. Or like positive or negative. Because that's where we get into trouble. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it, Susie. That whatever's happened in your past, it does lead you into your future when you learn from it and when you use it to make decisions for your future. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think a lot of us can say that um from things that have happened in our past, it has shaped who we are enough and how we're moving into the future. Because we still have it, we're just not carrying it like baggage. We've learned from it. So we have the higher self and we have the shadow self, but it's not positive or negative. The shadow self is just the stuff that we hide. It's shadow because it's in the dark. But it's not in the shadow because it's bad. It's still a part of us. I like to think of it more as like kind of like healing, but not like in one part has more healing than the other. So I say that because the word healing, its numerical vibration is 56, which is the same as the numerical vibration of the word light. And when we think about shadow, we think that the opposite of shadow is light. And so that's why I kind of like to think about it like in that way. I'm going to go down here real quick because I just want to make this point that so if you have light, so if you're here and you have light, like this is kind of what drove me crazy. It drove me crazy when people just want to talk about light. Oh, it's all light. It's all beautiful. It's all wonderful. Well, okay, that's fine. But what is light really? So now we're going to get scientific. Not surgical, but scientific. That's where I like to go. So if we have this light, and we'll make this a candle. So it's a, I don't know what the hell that is. That's not a candle, but whatever. It's light. It's light. Okay? It's light. There we go. That's a whatever. Okay. So we have light. But when you have light, based on the size of your light, you have a shadow. So you can't have light without having a shadow. And one thing that I think people don't realize is that you can have a small light. So if you've ever sat in a really dark room with a no, I'm not the tarot goddess. You got jokes. I'm not an artist. I don't know what the heck that is. But if you've ever sat in a dark room with just a candle on, that light source is really small and the shadows are really big. But it also goes the other way, that when you're standing outside in the sun, especially at noon, the light is really big and the shadow is small, but you still have a shadow. So you never have light without shadow. The other thing to remember, though, is that what shadow actually is. So shadow is the absorption of light. It's because a shadow is cast because whatever object is making the shadow is like taking in the light. It's blocking the light. So a shadow is the representation of how much light you're actually taking in. So your shadow can be a representation of how much healing you're taking in. So your shadow is not a bad thing, but it is the part that we try and hide, because in our shadow is where we have our deepest wounds. from our past or in our DNA or whatever. But we can harvest the light from our shadow because it's always there. So we might as well, become friends with our shadow. So my shadow self actually has a name. I talk with her and we work together. Yeah. Don't never talk to me again because of this weirdness. But her name is Essence. And I gave her that name because essence resonates at the numerical vibration of 70, which is the same as the word shadow. And I did that because when I first started learning about shadow self, now it was all negative. It was all negative, and I didn't like that because it's something that you can never get rid of. You can't ever totally get rid of your past. You can't ever totally get rid of your shadow, and it actually can make you more powerful if you can learn to work with that energy. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing in hip hop right now also. Because if our shadow is where we have things like our wounds, we have our past. I guess wounds and trauma would be the same, but we'll put trauma in here too. All of those things are light that's being held within our shadow. And so we talked about, I think a couple weeks ago, how hip hop was from the ages of 50 to about 52. So we're in there right now for hip hop, is when we had the Chiron return. And this is where your shadow opens up and it shows you your wounds. It's time that you have to begin to heal those wounds and begin to heal those traumas. Both the wounds that you have from outside of you, wounds that you have given yourself, and wounds that you have given others. So I don't like to talk about it, but I guess this is where we need to, is talking about hip-hop's wounds. And if we think about what this time frame actually is, so this would have been, because hip-hop turned 50 August 11th, 2023. And did hip hop just turn 52? I think so. I get it. Yes. So then this would go, because it just had its birthday. And so this would go until August 10th, 2026. And that's because on the 11th is when it turns 53. So we're in this time period right now. So if we think about what are some of these things that have been hidden away that hip hop wanted to hide, but that would be like a display of wounds. So, gosh, I don't want to talk about this. Why are we talking about this? I guess we need to talk about it because you can't heal it if you don't talk about it. So fine. So there's a lot of the wounds of, I don't like to call it, I guess it's like misogyny. Now, do not ask me to write that. I don't know how to spell that. I'm going to look it up because that one I'm going to butcher. But misogyny, where it's like the, people call it like the toxic masculine. And I don't like calling it toxic masculine because it's not just men. We all have masculine and feminine in us. So it is really when and because for really everybody, but especially those of us that have been raised in America, like misogyny is one of the bedrocks of America. It's one of the things that it thrives off of is masculine control and dominance. So yes, women can absolutely display misogyny. Oh, see, I should have just waited for your post to know how to spell it. So I do think that misogyny is one of the wounds of hip hop that have, it's always been there, and you've always had somebody that has been talking about it, but it's been much more on display, and we've seen it on display much more in the way of like abuse and controlling. Yeah. So we've seen it in the form of like control and abuse, but this is also where we see not just from the people, but from the entities. So this misogyny is also in the way that the labels deal with the artists. And we're seeing now it's even more like how artists deal with each other. So it's not just like physical man presenting to physical woman presenting, as although that is part of it. Misogyny is this like need for dominance and control, and you will get it at any means necessary. I think another one that kind of goes with that, and again, this comes out of just the American system, is capitalism. So it's like everything is about money. And I think that is a big wound. And that's actually a really big one for hip hop. Because money is one of our main topics. We like to floss. We like to talk about what we have and what that is and how it represents us. One thing I want to show you, because I'm seeing it in my head right now. The word money. If we get that numerical vibration, it's 72, which is the same as hip hop. So I don't necessarily think it's money that's the bad thing, because money is hip hop. All of the different money terms, that came from hip hop. But I think it's the way that you use money and the value of it. Like, is money, because I think we got to a point in hip hop that is now in this time frame of wounds being revealed and being opened, where it was money over the art form. It was money over the message. And I think that's the wound of capitalism. I think that's the wound that capitalism has inflicted on hip hop, and that hip hop has then inflicted on those of us that love it. Unintentionally. Because we all live it. We all live capitalism. We all, but you think about how many songs are about the money and making the money and having the money. And I don't necessarily think that's the bad thing. I think it's the money over the art form. It's the money over the art form. So instead, and that's where we're on the slippery slope with money in hip hop, that now I think we're coming back from it now. Because you think about it, man, Pusha T got some really good money bars. Like you can't have really good hip hop without those money bars. But it's not over the lyricism. It's not over the message. It's not over the art form. And that's, I think, where we got in trouble with all of these merch artists, where they were more worried about what they were making and talking down to people in a different kind of way. Because there's one way to be, shooting a dozen and just going at each other that way, because that's part of the culture, versus like literally, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but I think the next wound really is that we have to add on here is racism. Because there's something different about when you say certain things to certain people outside of your race. And I think that's where we have, yes, and within racism, colorism. Yep, that's a good one. Ooh, I'm feeling so heavy talking about this stuff, but I think this is important. Yes, you're right, Susie. So it's more like when it's more about the money and less about like feeding the soul or feeding the mind. So I think these are the wounds that hip hop is encountering, and we all will encounter these at these ages. Everybody has a Chiron return between 50 and 52 years. And what we are actually seeing simultaneously to this, man, I'm not going to know where any of my stuff is written, but that's okay. We'll find it. Because one thing that we're seeing simultaneously to this is that Chiron is in Aries currently. It's in the zodiac sign of Aries. And so hip hop is going through this Chiron return right now. And we saw that that's like 2023 until August 2026. But also the United States has Chiron in Aries also. So while we're seeing these wounds opening up and being put on display, and they're not put on display to like embarrass people, even though in hip hop we love we love a good embarrassment. We love it. And that's fine. That's fine. I love the petty. I love to sit back and watch it. But they are put on display to be able to, yeah, good roast is good. It's just good. But it's put on display for the healing. So what we're supposed to be doing is putting it on display. So the universe, God, puts it on display, puts these wounds out for us to see, and then we're supposed to be working through them and healing them. And I think that's what's happening right now, is that, but that's also where this split is coming. And you see that also. So whether it's in the Bible or the Quran or the Torah or any of these spiritual texts, they all talk about at some point where there's a split in the family. And it's usually because one set of the family, one part of the family is moving towards God. It's moving towards healing and trying to heal the wounds and become elevated in vibration, while the other is refusing to heal and is holding on very tightly to the past and not wanting to heal. And I think that's what's happening, but we're seeing it simultaneously. We're seeing it in parallel between hip hop and the United States. And I think that's why these vibrations are coming up so heavy. I know that's why I keep getting these messages around hip hop. Like, yes, I love it and I want to listen to the music, but there's so many of these messages that are so strong right now in hip hop that are parallel to the United States. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, Susie. I think Kendrick, he was able to connect with God in a way that people haven't for a very long time. And it actually gave me hope, because I was able to see that healing really does work. Because when you heal those wounds, you hear God clearer. You can hear the universe much more clear. Yes. Yes, Josh. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Yeah. This is like some intense stuff, but oh, powerful and beautiful. And it's like we get to witness it. Like, I've heard so many reactors, everybody within hip hop is saying that there is a shift and that we are in historical times. But we have to remember there's still work to do. So we still have to do this healing, but we have to remember that it's not just healing within hip hop, but all of these wounds, oh my gosh, all of these wounds that we've listed for hip hop, they're directly tied to the United States. Because we have been in, hip hop was birthed in New York City, in the Bronx, right down the road from Washington, D.C., right down the road from Philadelphia, where the Declaration of Independence was signed while black people were in slavery and indigenous people were on reservations. Like, we can't deny that. But we see it very clearly in hip hop and in the United States, where there's this split between those that are trying to heal the wounds and move forward and those that are not. But the difference is hip hop is way younger than the United States. So the United States of America, being birthed in 1776, has had this Chiron return a lot more times than hip hop has. This is hip hop's first time seeing these wounds clearly and having this Chiron return. Yes, exactly, Josh. Exactly. Hip hop is that voice. Hip hop is definitely that voice. And we can actually see that in the astrology. So hopefully I don't get too tired and we can actually get to that part today. I be getting tired when I'm like tapped in. So maybe I just got to work on them tapped in muscles. This helps. But what we are seeing with America is that they've passed, like America has passed this point multiple times. And any of those wounds that have not been healed, they get deeper. And they start festering. And they start rotting. And they're harder to heal. So like if you have a wound that you do not take care of, you eventually have to cut off that limb. Or you die. So we're witnessing things very powerfully in these two spaces that are very much parallel. And we keep seeing like messages of like America and what's happening in that space slipping into the hip hop. Like Kendrick's verse on Chains and Whips with Clips. That was those wounds like slipping in and it's trying to be quieted. I did not know we were going to go this deep today. I thought I was going to come in here and be like, whoa, it's been a really hard day. I don't know how long I'm going to be in here. And now look. Now look what's happening. But this is wonderful. This is a wonderful conversation. Exactly, Susie. Exactly. That's exactly like what Josh was saying, where hip hop is the voice of America's wounds. That is exactly what it is. And when we look in the astrology, what's in between America and hip hop is actually what I call the African American nation. So it's the group of people that are considered African American that were either here already or were brought here to be enslaved. And when you look at those three together, and I'll show you, like maybe not today, but eventually I'll show you how we can look at all of this stuff in the astrology and see the connections and the vibrations. But when we see that together, the linking, it's like hip hop is the voice, it's like the mouth of the African American nation that's within hip hop. It's very interesting. And I think this is coming out also because next week is when we have actually it starts really kind of tomorrow, is where we have the anniversary, the 20-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. That was a huge display of America's wounds. I'm working on a video now. It's going to take me forever to finish because I keep getting choked up about it, on Hurricane Katrina and the actual astrology and vibrational charts. But this is all, it's the perfect timing. This is God's time. This is that universe divine time. This is that zero that we talk about. That we're living in that zero right now. And we're seeing it very clearly. Exactly, Susie. That those of us that saw the message of the Super Bowl and saw the wounds, and that's with everything. If we see the wounds clearly, you can begin to heal them. But if you refuse, like, it's weird. It's weird to see people that look and you're like, you got a wound, man. Like, you don't see that wound? You don't smell that wound? Because, like, a physical wound, like, when you don't take care of it, it doesn't just look nasty. It starts smelling nasty. It starts, like, infecting your whole body. And so then that takes us back here, where if all of these pieces are us It's our identity and who we are. Same with hip hop. That if we're not addressing that shadow, we're not accepting that that shadow and the wounds that it carries are part of us and that we can learn from it, then we can have festering wounds. We can do crazy stuff like getting plastic abs that get infected. Right, Josh? And then it goes to your brain. Do you know what plastic does to your brain? Sorry, I just be going off on these tangents sometimes because my brain just goes there. But do you know what plastic does to your brain? Like, I stopped using a microwave. I do not use a microwave at all anymore because I read scientific studies. I don't read the news articles about them. I go straight to the scientific studies because I'm a nerd like that. But they were showing how up to 40% of the plastic that you have in your food, if you have your food in a plastic container and you put it in the microwave, the plastic goes into your food. But not only that, it turns your food into plastic. It breaks up so much of the nutritional value of the food that it's essentially plastic. Your food has the same nutritional value as plastic when it comes out of the microwave. And then plastic is one of the few things that's able to cross. We don't even know how it's able to cross the blood-brain barrier, and it slows your thinking. Get out of here. You all really trying us. You really trying to make it so that we cannot think and feel and heal. Now, there you go. How's that for not healing the wounds and not accepting the wounds? You go so far as to try and close other people's eyes or make them so they can't see them or either. Wow. All right. Sorry for that tangent. We gonna bring it back. But yeah. No microwaves for me. No, sir. So we have all these different layers that are going together. And so we've already, for hip hop over here, we've already looked at its life path number and its name. I think we stay in the space of we recognize, those, and I don't even know if I would include myself in this. I'd want to, but I think those that are real true hip hop enthusiasts understand more of the ancestry of hip hop and the DNA of hip hop. I think I understand it enough just because I've lived it. My dad listened to blues and jazz, so I kind of grew up in that space. I was always drawn to the spirituals and to the African drums and the way those made me feel. And so that I had that connection. I always saw that connection. But that is a really important space for us to go to also, and make sure that we are continuing to pull in that ancestry of hip hop in our spaces. And then we've talked about this perspective in time. One other thing I will tell you about this, and we can talk about this more. You might have to remind me though. But so what I've learned from Hawaiian spirituality in regards to this, oh my gosh, I can't pick a color. My brain is frying. This vertical time is that the way that they do healing, so the way that they teach healing is if you have a wound that's down here. Let's use a different color. That didn't stand out either. What? I was trying to find a color that stood out, but I've used all the colors. So we'll just go with, what color should our wound be? Let's make our wound purple. So if you have a wound down here, and this unhealed wound is festering, and it's like causing you yourself, like your identity to be broken or to be diseased, so dis-ease, to having this wound be open, that you're supposed to go to, oh my gosh, I need another color. Here we go. You're supposed to go to a higher healed version of yourself. So like the Hawaiian practitioners, they get like this healed version of yourself, and then that's what they use to heal the wound. I think that's what we're seeing also, now that I'm thinking about it. It's like Kendrick is setting the bar. He's setting the bar at this higher level of healed version, and he's using it to be able to heal these wounds. And now we're seeing, okay, it's good and it's okay to go to therapy. It's good and okay to be vulnerable and transparent about what your wounds are, the wounds that you have inflicted, and to heal from it, and to be able to see that we're all human, and this is what we need to do. So I think this is what we're seeing also with hip hop, but we can do this ourselves also. This is what we are doing also when we're like visualizing what life we want to manifest. We're pulling from the future. So we're envisioning the future, and we're using that to heal us in the present moment, or heal what needs to be healed on that shadow side, so that we can move up in higher vibration. So even if we move up, we still have all of this at the bottom. It's still there, it's just healed. Exactly. That's exactly what it is, Josh. It is using your wisdom, what you have learned, to be able to really, confront, like look in the mirror. This is also what like Michael Jackson was talking about with the man in the mirror. Like confronting who you are in that moment, confronting the wound so that it can be healed. Absolutely. And that's what therapy is supposed to do for us. But like all forms of therapy don't work for everybody, and I don't know why I'm talking about this. Whatever, we're going to go with it. But also, so all forms of therapy don't work for everybody. But also the form of therapy that will work for you changes as you're addressing different wounds. So please do not go to one therapist or one way of therapy, and if it doesn't work, then not do it anymore. So like, for example, when I first started going to therapy, it really was for my depression, and it was like focusing on my depression. And in that talk therapy, it was just talk therapy, I began to learn how to have better self-talk. So talk to myself so that I could heal those parts of myself. Because what I found is that I was repeating the hurtful, wounding words that other people had said to me. I was repeating it to myself, whether it was other physical people or whether it was society. Because if society is telling you you're ugly and dumb, and you can't escape that. It's really hard to not let that come in. But then later in life, journaling became a big, huge therapy method for me. But I still used a therapist. I had a therapist that helped me with like what prompts I should do. And then I got into a lot of like the energy work, and I started doing a lot more meditations and chanting. And that was like my therapy of healing the wounds. And now I actually work with a hypnotherapist that will take me so deep down into that shadow self that I can start encountering some of those past lives to be able to heal. Okay, I think that was another tangent, but probably an important one. The last thing I'll say on that is that when you heal, you know what? I think I still want to use that picture. It was getting so crowded, but I think what I'm about to say is important to be seen here. So just like with your vertical time, where you use a higher version of yourself to be able to heal the wounds that you have from your shadow, when you do heal, you actually heal in both directions. So healing moves into the future and into the past. So, you know, like when they talk about like breaking generational curses, that's you healing the past. But then also where, because of the healing you've done, the next generations don't have to go through it. So they get to start at a better place. So that's like where the children, like they have less wounds. And it's because whenever you're healing, it's said that you heal 7 generations behind you and 7 generations in front of you when you heal. And that would be same for hip hop also. That as we're healing, as hip hop is healing these wounds, it's healing the wounds of the past, where we've seen that, where these past wounds and display of wounds, people are having to be accounted for that. So we're seeing, like, it may not be the justice that we want, but we're seeing that be brought to light and having to have justice served. And it's making it so the next generations don't have this. But that makes me think then that the next generations of hip hop artists, because I think I was having this conversation with a bunch of people in Can't Be Serious, Cousin B's live, about who are the artists that are coming up after, who's the next generation. So who are the artists that are in their 20s now that are going to be able to come into this new hip-hop space? Because if hip-hop is shifting, then these new artists are the ones that have to come in. They're going to have to talk about something different. Because if we're healing these wounds, those bars on these same wounds are not going to hit the same. It's not going to be the same. Yeah, Susie. But I think it's because they're still acting like these wounds are unhealed, but the shift is happening because these wounds are being healed. So it like, because even like we go back to the money bars, those money bars hit different when it comes from like Pusha T and Clips. Because that's part of who they are. We've seen them like add that to who they are. It's part of their past. It doesn't hit the same when a new artist is talking about money. They could say the exact same bar and the vibration will be completely different because it's not actually part of who they are as an individual, but it also doesn't represent hip hop in the same way anymore. So there you go. There's for new artists. Talk about the wounds being healed. What happens after the wounds are healed? Talk about, I don't know. I don't even know. I can't give you advice on that. Okay, I actually am surprised that I am feeling pretty good. Do you want to look at HipHop's astrology chart? We can look at that layer. We can start looking at it anyway. Anybody interested? Or you got questions? You want something else to talk about? I'm going to try not to go on a tangent. Okay. Tarot Gothis, you'd like to look at the astrology chart? Anybody else? Okay, going once, going twice. I think I have the astrology chart already up here. Because we're going to go... Okay, cool. So we talked about... So the only thing we have to remember, though, is that the astrology chart is just part of these vibrations. And that's for all of us. So we really shouldn't even be talking about like our sun signs. I know in the was that just on Friday? I think it was just on Friday in Quality Reacts live. There were so many birthdays. We went on a whole tangent on zodiac signs, but everybody was just putting their sun sign. So this will actually be good because we can talk about the layers of the vibrations within your astrology chart, not just your sun sign. Because if you notice, anybody that notices, let me know if you notice this also, that sun sign doesn't hit the same. It's like the vibration is changed. It's like the vibration is higher and we need to be using higher vibrations. And so then just that sun sign is not it. All right, so I'm going to try. Let me see if I could do this. We'll see how fancy I am. Oh yeah, here's the astrology chart. But I don't want to write it here. Oh, look! I'm so fancy. I want to put it here. Ha! Hey, that took me no time at all. I'm awesome. Just saying. If nobody else will say it, I will. Yeah, close, Josh. We'll talk about it. Talk about it, Kendrick. Okay, that just came to my head and I had to say it out loud so it wasn't like echoing in my head and getting me distracted. But so for your birth chart, so the first thing is you have the date, so August 11th, 1973, which gives you your life path number. So everybody can be doing this. You can watch this recording and do this because I think it's really important for all of us to understand these different vibrations for ourselves as well. Because you'll be able to use them more. And I am seeing that a lot of the astrologists online and even the tarot readers online, and you can confirm for me, Tarot Gothis, that they're adding things. So it's like just instead of just tarot cards, they're also using oracle cards, or for like the astrologists, they're using different types of astrology. They're trying to amp up and add to the vibrational layers. So I want to do that for us and hip hop as well. because those spaces they're not necessarily the nicest spaces all the time. Some of them are very nice and very accommodating. I've learned from a lot of them. But it's harder to find them. Oh yeah, thanks Tarot Gothis for adding that. So August 11th, 1973 will give us our life path number. And so remember that life path number comes from adding up the year and then adding the month and adding the day. So if anybody hasn't seen that, that's where your life path number comes from. Your life path number gives you the path to be able to take the steps that you're taking to be able to get to your outcome goal. And so for hip hop, the life path number is 39. That then reduces to 12, which reduces to 3. And that's how we got that. The ultimate goal of hip hop is to bring growth. It's to bring growth, but it's to bring growth through a change in perspective. So this is growth. But this is the change in perspective. And they change perspective. Hip hop changes perspectives by ending cycles. So ending the way we think, ending the way others think, ending the way we do things. And through those endings, we get more growth. So there's the quick synopsis of the life path number of hip hop, because you want to start there with that. We also have the name hip hop. And that's where that 72 came in. And 72 reduces to 9. So there's another 9 of ending cycles, ending what we think about. And I think that comes back to your point, Josh, of like hip hop being the voice. It's like the voice of reason of like, yeah, we really shouldn't be doing things that way. Or this is way better over here. Yeah, you notice that, Tarot Gothis. Yeah, it's a very balanced chart. So that's the name. So those are our starting vibrations. Then to be able to get the full birth chart, you need to have where it happened. So in the Bronx. And you also need to have a time. And this time of 9 p.m., I got this from, because hip hop started at an after school jam in the 70s, 73 to be exact. And this party, I'm like, man, I didn't grow up in New York. I didn't get to have any of this fun. But this party started at 9 p.m. and it didn't end until like 4 a.m. So, yes. So, birthing hip hop took a while, but it seemed like a good time. So, we use 9 p.m. So, then the first things we want to look at is we split the chart like this. Yeah, started at 9 p.m. So we split the chart, and then we first look at what's internal, so like what you keep inside. And this is external. So this is what you show to the world. Yeah, DJ Cool Heart. There's so many arguments about who contributed to the start of hip hop, but DJ Cool Heart kind of is it. Yeah. And they don't argue about this date necessarily anymore. Just who added to it. So we have the internal and the external. And so one thing I just want to point out real quick is right here. Boop. That's Chiron. So that's the wounds. So you see the wounds are down here in this internal space. If we looked at my chart, it's crazy. In my chart, everything is at the bottom. Everything is internal. It makes me very much an introvert. The only thing that's at top on full display is my Chiron. It's my wounds. My wounds are the only ones hanging out up there. But this is where Chiron sits. And so then typically what you think about is if you have more of your planets in this external space, then you're more of an extrovert. And if you have more planets down here, you're more of an introvert. But what we notice with hip hop is it's not like all extrovert or it's not all introvert. It is, that's what like Tarot Gothis was talking about, is that it's a pretty balanced chart. So then what we want to do is we want to think about, so we have, I have these jokes that happen in my head and then I laugh before I even tell you all. Whatever. So we have the big three. No, Kendrick, don't worry. You're not one of the ones that we are trying to include in big three. We know it's just you. It's okay. It's okay. We have the big three in our astrological chart, which are our sun, our moon, and our rising. And the way that I like to think about it is the sun, like when I'm just looking at a chart to just get started, is that the sun is like our mind. It's how we think. And so when we're getting these like astrology charts and we're getting these astrology readings and you're only getting the sun, it's only telling you about your mind. It's only telling you what you're like shining out into the world. Because also in your mind is where your ego sits. So the ego pieces of like being overly confident, being overly aggressive, like all that kind of stuff, sits with the sun energy as well. But then, and so let's look at hip hop here. So we have the sun in Leo, because we just had this birthday of hip hop. So it's a Leo sun. And what's so cool is that Leo, so each of the zodiac signs is also ruled by one of the planets that's in our solar system. I don't know what to call it. It just sounds weird. But anyway, the Leo is ruled by the sun. So that means the sun is brighter in Leo. And so then that's so cool because this sun in Leo, so that's why anybody that is a Leo that has the end of July, Tarot Gothis knows better than me, but I'm sure from your answer, but I think it's the end of July to mid-August is when it's Leo season. And so anybody that has their birthdays, these are very big minds, big egos, very big and bright and just like radiating out. radiating out. It's represented by the lion, so the Leo lion. So the mind of hip hop, the way hip hop thinks, is very much Leo. Leo is fire. It's very big and bold and aggressive, and that doesn't have to be a negative thing. It's how we define it, but it's very big and bold. I think that very much fits hip hop. So when it's being true to its sun, very big and bold, but we also have to look at what house it sits in. So it's in this, oh my gosh, there's so much here. Yeah, I think this is the, I can't tell if, yeah, that's the 6th house. Yeah, 6th house. So in the 6th house is about everyday life. So in everyday life, hip hop is very big and bold. That's probably why hip hop also talks about daily life all the time. Especially if you're freestyling. Like you're going straight off the dome. So where's that coming from? It's coming from the mind. That's a very good question, because if it's in that southern, it's not that it's opposite. It's that it's shining its light on itself, or on it's more of its internal space. So it's not that it's opposite. It's still very big and bold and bright. It just it's not meant for the outside world. It's meant for just hip hop. I think that's why it's like, it's all big and bright and everybody wants to be part of it, but hip hop is very like, are you part of the culture? I wasn't really shining my light for you. I was shining my light for myself. So I think that's the difference. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, good. You're welcome. So 6th house is daily life. So in everyday life, in all of its routines, what it's doing on a regular basis is being the sun in Leo. How it's thinking, everything that it's doing. So then the moon is very much about the heart. This is where your emotions lie. And what's interesting here is the moon for hip hop is up here. So it's out on display. The emotions of hip hop are for the rest of the world. They put it out there for the rest of the world. It's up here in Capricorn. And I just think this is so cool. Like, I haven't looked at this very deeply because I wanted to look at it with you all. But so this moon in Capricorn, it's this heart, it's the emotions. But Capricorn is very strategic and very structured, because it's an earth sign. It's like solid. And so I think that's very cool. It's like taking the emotions and putting it in a structure. If that's not hip hop, that's like clearly hip hop. It's taking the emotions of things and putting it out in a strategic way, in a structured kind of way. So like thinking about the rhyme schemes, thinking out even about the beat patterns, and like taking a sample and feeding it in, very structured. Very structured. But it's the emotions, it's coming from the heart. But that heart is the passion. So the passion is coming from that place. And this moon is in the 11th house. which is really about the greater community. This is where the advocacy comes. This is why hip hop is very emotional. And don't think of that as a negative. Remember, all of these vibrations are neutral, and it's how we define them as to what they actually are meaning. So it's this advocacy. So the 11th house is about the greater community. And so this emotion, this passion is sitting in the community space for hip hop. And it's displaying that passion for community through a very structured form of Capricorn. So it's displaying its emotions and its love and its passion for the larger community, for the larger group, through a structured format. That's cool. I think that's very cool. And I keep looking because I want to make sure. I'm like, where is the 5th house? And oh, there it is, Cancer. Okay. So we have the sun and the moon. Now we do have this balancing act that's happening between the mind and the heart. And we all have this, where the way our mind works is not how our heart works. So for hip hop, though, its Leo mind is battling with its Capricorn heart in how to do things. This actually is actually a pretty good pairing where it's easier to balance, because Capricorn can be very strategic and is more around that mind. But this is where you have this balancing act happening between your mind and your heart. And they need to be working together. You can't be at one extreme or the other. You can't just use one. So this again is why it's so important to not just try and use the sun, but we also have to recognize the moon and the rising. And so we have the sun and the moon here battling, and you see they're actually very close to opposite, because Capricorn is actually exact opposite of Cancer. But with the moon here very close to the end of Capricorn, it would be very close to the end of Cancer over here. So it's getting close to Leo. So it's very close to being opposite. But they're balancing each other out. We need to balance each other out. Use the energy from both. That's actually where that 7 is in a lot of numerology cultures, and it's considered like the perfect vibration. And it's because it's the perfect balance between the masculine and feminine. So the sun can be seen as the masculine, the moon as the feminine. And you're supposed to be balancing them out. You're supposed to be using them both. So when you use 7, where it's taking action and flow, so flow is the feminine, taking action is the masculine, now you're getting the perfect combination. And so that's what we're trying to do here in our charts, is we're trying to understand our sun and our moon so that we can balance them out. Okay, thanks for letting me know, Susie. I know I be going on my tangents sometimes, but as long as you're getting it, as long as it's making sense and we're continuing the thinking. So now when you have people that, because there's actually a lot of people, especially in whenever there's these seasons every year where the planets are bunched up together. So if you have your sun and your moon in the same sign, so if because the moon is changing positions every 2.5 days, whereas the sun is changing like every 30 days. So you could very easily have the sun and the moon together. So if in your chart you see the sun and the moon together, that doesn't mean that you're off the hook for balancing. It's making sure that you're using that mind and that heart in a balanced way, not just one or the other. Because the sun, like for example, like the sun, like if we think about Cancer, so let's say somebody has their sun and their moon in Cancer. The sun in Cancer behaves very differently than the moon in Cancer, because the moon rules Cancer versus the sun that is like diminished. It's quieted in Cancer. So you have to be aware of that so you can work that through. The Tarot Goddess, I was reading your mind. Your sun and your moon. Yeah, so you're not off the hook. You're not off the hook for figuring out how to balance between that sun and moon, between that mind and that heart. Yes. Yes, I love that idea, Josh. Yes. Yes, I think that's something definitely we could do. So, for anybody, Josh included, if you're interested in doing that kind of stuff where it's like, let's actually get these rappers, let's get who are those that are like in the past and like have brought up, who like fits these different places, you can certainly email me. I will welcome those conversations. I would love to have those conversations. So you feel free to like put it in the comments in any of these videos and we can have that discussion. But you can also email me. My email should be in my description of the channel. Yeah, but I want to get this information out there because I know there's those of you that are the reactors. You are the creators. This is the material that you need to be making so that we can contribute to the healing of hip hop, so we can contribute to this shift that we already know is happening. This is how we do it. Thank you for sharing that, Josh, because that is very important that you're taking it and you're able to apply it in that way, because it's very important. Yeah, and we can look at that in one of these lives, because I want to look in one of these lives at let me know. You can let me know in the comments who you want to start with. If we want to start with Kendrick, we certainly can. But there's a couple of different ways that we can, and a couple of different charts that you can use to be able to see how different artists are working within hip hop and how their vibrations combine and are utilizing each other. There's a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, but certainly feel free to continue the discussion and to email me. And we can go way deeper. Oh yeah, this is just the surface. And you know, like Kendrick says, if you want to go there, I can go further. There's so much more. And this is so fun for me. I think this, because I see this every time I'm listening to hip hop and I'm in that space, and you see me in like everybody else's lives, because I'm just taking it all in because I love these connections. All right, let's talk about rising, and then we can maybe get to our random number, because I've been talking way too long. But we'll continue with this. We'll go through all of the planets. We'll look at this chart fully. We'll just take it in chunks, because every Saturday from now on, every Saturday, I'm going to focus on hip hop, and we're going to just talk about hip hop and these topics and how it relates to hip hop and how we can use hip hop as an example for ourselves. I'm all about it. This is what we're going to be doing. Thank you, Tarot Goddess. So for rising, this is actually our balancing point. So we're trying to balance between the mind and the heart. The rising is actually the first thing you see. It's the first thing you display because you can't really hide it. So regardless if you're an introvert or an extrovert, when people are first getting to know you, they're going to think that you're a rising. So when you see like some of these videos and stuff where people are trying to guess people's zodiac signs, a lot of the times they first will think that they are their rising sign, not their sun. And part of that is because the rising is right there at that center where it's balancing between the sun and the moon. I almost chopped myself in the face. I hope you didn't see that. But the rising sign is always going to be in this first house. First house is I am. This is who I am. And I just did a whole series on I am and like the different parts of I am. I think I am going to go, I said I am so many times in that sentence. So I did the series on I am. I think I'm going to go back and apply that to hip hop. And I'm thinking about doing it. If that's something you would like to see, take a look at it. And let me know in the comments on those videos if you want to see hip hop examples or see it applied to hip hop. It's pretty deep, but I think it relates also. So your rising is I am. That's why you're seen as that first, because it's always that first house. It's always the first I am. It's the first part of your identity that anybody sees. You can also tap into that because you'll see that your rising sign is what establishes this line that we use to break this up. So it's neither introvert or extrovert. It's neither internal or external. It's both. It's that balancing point. And again, even if we had both the sun and the moon down here in Cancer, Tarot Goddess, and they were down here, we still use the rising as the balancing. We use that as like our checkpoint in making sure that we're balancing between the mind and the heart. And so for hip hop, it's Pisces, which makes so much sense. This is cool. I could talk about this all day and all night long, but I'm not going to. Don't worry. But it's in Pisces, and Pisces is it's a water sign. So that's interesting because that gives us some balance here too, where we have the sun is in Leo, which is fire. We have the moon in Capricorn, which is earth. And then we have the rising here in Pisces, which is water. So that doesn't always happen where you have those different elements that you're able to use and work with. So it's kind of cool that you can, it's like a different mixture here. But Pisces is our spiritual place. Pisces is very much about like the imagination and your spirituality. This is why hip hop is psychic, because it's rising. And this is why any of these artists, hip hop artists that are fully able to tap in fully to these vibrations, like Kendrick, would be seen as psychic or prophetic. Because that's right here. And it's in the first house. So it's I am imagination. I am the visionary. I am the spirituality. The negative side, though, of Pisces, I think that I have to point out because of our earlier conversation, is that it is the escape artist also. So it can get so caught up in its imagination and in like these big, huge, wide spaces where it's floating off into the universe and is not grounded. It's not paying attention to what's going on around. So that's why sometimes hip hop could seem like it's like something can come out of hip hop and you'd be like, where the hell did that come from? Or how some of these hip hop artists are like, are you an alien? Because you seem way out there. So you could sometimes with the Pisces go way too far. But I think it's interesting that hip hop has this as its balancing point. So it means that as hip hop is trying to balance between its mind and Leo, its big, huge ego, its being big and bright in this everyday life space. And it's balancing that with this heart that is very structured. It is having to go through the imagination. It's having to go through that spiritual space. So I think this is also why as hip hop is shifting and is ascending and is going to this higher vibration, it's having to use the spiritual space, whether that's connections with God, because we've seen like Jalopy has started this series on Sundays of making the connections between hip hop and the Bible, which I think is fascinating and highly important. But that's what he's doing. He's putting through this spiritual space the mind and the heart of hip hop. Oh, you are? Good. I'm glad it makes complete sense. You just, yes, just balance them out. Balance them out. So you use these three together, because you can't have any of these without the others. So you use them all together. This is at the core of like your identity and of your chart and of these vibrations. Yes, I'm so excited that I'm so glad he's doing that, where he's making those connections to the Bible, because it's absolutely right in like what we were talking about in how to heal these wounds. But this is how we can get that balancing. If we can take the mind of like what we're thinking or that ego through that spiritual space, and it doesn't even matter. Like Kendrick talks about, and I think I said this in Flex's live earlier today, where Kendrick uses running as a meditation. So it's a moving, action-filled meditation. And so when he's in that meditative space, that's his spiritual space. That's what hip hop needs to be doing. It needs to be finding that spiritual space. So whether it's the Bible and religion, or whether it's meditation, whether it's even like tapping into some of these artists like Hanuman Kind, who I love his new album that has come out recently, because he's from India. And they're much more tapped in than the United States and some of the Western countries to that spiritual space and thinking about spirituality in a different way. So even like using that as like this pivot point. So back to your point for like who we could kind of look at. I think we could kind of find some of these artists that are like the sun of hip hop, with that ego and that mind versus the heart, where it's more of the passion and then the pivot point. Whoa, this was a lot. But I think we'll stop there with this chart for now. We are definitely going to come back to this. I think what we can look at maybe next week, well, I try not to plan. But I'm a Capricorn sun, so that Capricorn mind always likes to have a plan, likes to have a structure in place. But I'm trying not to, because I'm trying to let it flow, where I'm seeing like this really deep stuff that I wouldn't have thought about, is what's coming out when I'm not planning it. So I won't plan it. But we'll come back to this. We will start looking at this hip-hop chart and the hip-hop vibrations, with artists, because that would be, so if we think about like our oh my gosh, what do they call it, where you have like, you are in the middle, and then you have your family, and then you have your like community, and then you have like your country. Hip hop is kind of there in the middle, and the artists are inside of hip hop, but then like the country or the world would be outside of hip-hop. So we'll look at charts and look at those vibrations and see how they're weaving together. Good? Sound good? Okay. Let's help our brains out a little bit. Great! Oh, I'm so glad, Susie. Thank you. Okay, good, Tarot Gothess. I'm glad. Oh, good. Good. Thank you, Josh. I agree that I think it's very important, because I don't think hip-hop has been invited in these spaces, but we're here now. Hip-hop is here and needing to heal, so it is very important. Thank you. Okay, good. So we'll come back to that. Let's do something a little bit lighter to end us off. We're gonna, so we did the random number generator last week. Oh my gosh, I hope this doesn't like go hella deep. It might, because that's my world. But we did the random number generator last week, where we got 540, and we were supposed to look, and this reduces to 9, and we were supposed to see if we could find any of these vibrations. Just it doesn't even have to be in hip-hop, just in everyday life, because this is how we tune in. So oh my gosh, am I showing my age? I think I'm showing my age when I talk about tuning a radio. Oh my gosh. Oh well, that's fine. Who cares? I'm at that age that I don't care. But when you tune in to God, the universe, and these vibrations that are around, this is practice for that, so that we can start getting these messages. So this is just good practice. It's good fun practice. And so 540, the big part, so I'm going to talk about what 540 is, if you could think about where you have seen this week. So 54 part is what I've seen the most. It's the numeric vibration of love, but also of Oracle, and we talked about this last week, that this might be any kind of talk of prophecies. Oh my gosh, my spelling is the freaking worst. Oh my gosh, I don't know if that's spelled right. Forgive me. But that we talked about oracle being potentially something that could come up in like prophecies, but anything around love. And then the 0, this 0, that's that like God vibration or the universal vibration. It's bigger than us. It's one that we can't control. So it's kind of like when you're like, whoa, where did that come from? But here it's this God or universal energy enhancing the 54. So wherever we may have seen that, and also where we might have seen the endings of things, because that's the 9. So I brought my journal. I journal way too much, but I actually love it because then I get to go back and I get to look and see what I saw. And I think I started writing some things down, but put in the comments. Let me know if you've seen stuff. What did you say? Yeah. Stay tuned. Hey, that's pretty funny. You're right. So let's see. And my journal does look crazy because I see everything in numbers. Like I see everything as vibration. I very much have a journal that's mostly numbers written down. So I won't show you that. But let's see. What have I seen? Where have I seen 54? Oh, I just thought of something. It's not written down. But there was this whole conversation. This one made me laugh. Around unconditional love versus optional love. So there we got a love. There we got some of that love in there. That was funny. For those of you that don't know, our favorite plastic rapper dude, Drake, had this whole speech about unconditional love versus optional love. It was actually very entertaining, especially when you got to watch the reactors, especially Quality. He is so funny. Talk about this. Oh, you've seen, 54 on license plates catching your eye. Yep. Yep. But I think it's interesting, like I noticed this week, that I didn't see any 540s, but I did see a lot of like 54s. And like the words that were 54. Speaking of which, one, and oh man, okay Josh, don't freak out. So, one of the words that I learned this week is 54 is the word voice. So we were just talking about how hip hop is the voice. It's actually 54. Yes, you're absolutely right, Josh. He was just being weird. But it is. Optional love is just like lust. And unconditional love is just love. But then we have this weird thing in English where I think every other language has multiple words that represent different kinds of love. And we don't in English. But anyway, we'll get into that another day. We have so much to talk about. But voice. So voice is 54. So when we talk about the voice of hip hop or letting your voice be heard, because we also had a lot of talk of like the censoring the voice. So like the freedom of speech. Yes, Josh. Exactly. Exactly. Where these other languages have they have other terms for these different types of love, and we don't in English, and it's very odd. So voice is one that I've seen. Where else have you seen 54? We'll just find a couple others, if there are some. And then we'll just roll our wheel for this week. See what we get this week. Let me see. I see any other 54s. Oh, this is crazy. I don't remember writing this. I guess I'll have to do a video on it. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna go into it now because it'll be a whole tangent. I'm trying not to go on another tangent. Oh, I found one. Do you have any other 54s? You're gonna like this one. All of the Kendrick fans are gonna like this one, and Flex was just talking about this. Bodies is 54. So any of you that don't know, Bodies is the little snippet of a Kendrick song that we got at the Super Bowl, and we've actually heard it multiple times, but everybody would have been able to hear it and see it at the Super Bowl, and we're just waiting to be able to get it. We're just waiting to be able to get the rest of that song. Oh, come on. But yeah. All right, that's a good one. Okay, that's a good one. All right, so let's go. I'm going to go to our... I'm going to do all the things. And I don't know if you saw, but up there in that... left-hand corner is where I had the 540, so that's where our wheel is. I'm gonna go to our wheel, and yes, I keep it up like all week because I keep it up as a reminder of what our random number was. So I did see 540 every time I turned on my computer because I kept it up. But that probably was the only place. But we probably, if we added them up, we probably saw like 10 54s. That would give us our 540. All right, are we ready? Ready to spin the wheel? This is like one of my favorite parts. I love this. If you ever just want a random wheel spin turn, just let me know because I love this. All right, here we go. What is our number for this week? Our vibration for this week? 109. Yay! So let me now see if I could get back over to you all. I'm getting good at this. I'm very proud of myself. Just saying. So for this week, we are looking for 109. And there will be a couple of different things. So we have this 9 again, where we could have different themes here. So we have 109 that reduces to 10, that also reduces to 1. So first thing, I'm trying really hard not to say it. I'm trying really hard not to say first things first. I'm the realist. Okay, I said it. So now it's out of my head. Anyway, we have a bunch of 1s here. So ones is new anything. So we are going to be looking for new energy, new music, new information. New information, maybe? We got a lot of information this last week about lots of things. So anything new is going to be these ones. And then we also have these zeros in here again. So any of these connections to God energy or to like a universal energy, anything, any kind of energy that's bigger than ourselves. So we'll get some of that tomorrow with Jalape's video. But this is another theme that we'll be looking for. And then we got the 9 again of endings. Or ending a cycle. And when we say cycle, it's like the way of doing things, the way of thinking about something. But we're in a big ending of a cycle right now, not just because we're in 2025, but because hip hop is making that shift. That's what's happening. All of these ways of thinking and doing things are ending, and that's part of the shift we're feeling. But we're also about to go into September, which is the 9th month. So we'll have to talk about that one of these weekends also, so we can be prepared. Probably next weekend we'll have to talk about it. So I'll pick a day for us to talk about September, so we're ready for that. So any of these endings also. For all of this together, so the way that we read these vibrations is we always read them from right to left as a step. Each one's a step. So by ending a cycle, ending a way of thinking, ending a way of doing things, or it could just be a true end where it's like, okay, this stupid court case is done. It is dismissed. That is an ending. With an ending, it opens up the space for this God energy, for this universal energy to come in, and it enhances the new beginning or whatever's new that's coming in. So those are the steps to be able to read these vibrations. And then also if there's any words that add up to 109, that's usually my space. I did find some websites that I'm looking at right now. I'm going to try and find us a good one that I can share with you where you can put the numbers in and it'll do the calculation for you. So you don't have to carry a calculator around everywhere like I do. Even though I could do it in my head, I just like to double check because, that Capricorn sun doesn't like to be wrong. So 109 is the vibration we're looking for this week. So we'll talk about this more next week. Thank you for being here with me. You all hung tough. Please make sure to hit the like button, and also feel free to keep the conversation going. Ask me questions in the comments. You can email me questions. These are important conversations and they need to be shared. So please have them. Please also take the information and make your reaction videos, make your videos, put your thoughts out there, because we need to be flooding the system with this information. So all of this information that's going to help hip hop really truly shift, that's what we need to be adding to. I just ask that you please make sure to give me some kind of credit. Send people my way. And I guess that's it. Thanks for being here. This was a great conversation. We'll do it again next week. Okay, bye.